Welcome to Native Talk Arizona, Native Health's Native American Cultural Affairs program, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm Susan Levy. In August is National Breastfeeding Month. National Breastfeeding Month talks about the benefits for both mom and baby. Super important. In the studio to tell us more is Kylee Yazzie, and she's with Native Health WIC. Kylee, welcome. It's always a pleasure to see you and learn more about what you do and what WIC does.
Hi, yeah, it's nice to be back. I'm here talking about breastfeeding and National Breastfeeding Month, so I'm super excited.
All right, well, let's start off with, tell us about yourself first and then how you ended up at Native Health WIC and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Kylee Yazzie. I am from the Navajo Nation. I originally got into nutrition and learning about nutrition through culinary, and then from there I went to ASU for my degree in nutrition. Afterwards, I really wanted to build my career, and so I actually applied for the WIC hiring process and was able to further my career as a WIC educator, and now I'm really interested in breastfeeding, so I became their breastfeeding lead, and I'm striving to obtain credentials as a registered dietitian nutritionist and an IBCLC.
Wow, good for you. I know, yeah, and the IBCLC, right?
Yes.
That's like International Breastfeeding.
It's the International Board of Lactation Consultants.
Okay. And that's really hard to get, right?
Yes, you have to do about 1,000 hours of clinical learning with breastfeeding hands-on, as well as education in your science courses, and then also passing an international board exam.
And you've been working on this, over a year, right?
For about 3 years now.
Oh my gosh. And are you close?
I'm at about 700 hours out of 1,000.
Wow, good for you. That's awesome. All right. So, and you said you were also interested in culinary?
Yes. Originally, I was taking culinary classes in high school. I did many culinary competitions throughout Arizona. From there, I won scholarships to attend ASU, and that's where I decided to continue my nutrition degree.
Oh my gosh. Okay, what kind of culinary? I know I'm off topic, but what did you do in culinary?
I did a lot. I did the CCAP program, which is Culinary Careers for Arts in Arizona program, and so I was able to do salads, I was able to do desserts, just a lot of competitions. It was all timed, had judges and everything, so I won quite a few scholarships from them, about maybe 4.
Oh my gosh. You ever compete on Chopped?
No, I don't think I'd be prepared for that.
No, but you said like you did timed competitions. That would be pretty good. I bet you would do great on Chopped.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go back to WIC. How did you get interested then in like WIC and breastfeeding? Is it just something that's always interested you?
Yeah. So my mother, she breastfed all of my siblings and I. My sister, she has 2 kids of her own and was breastfeeding both of them. Not only that, but as I learned at WIC, I just fell in love with breastfeeding. I loved helping moms. You know, I remember the first time that I helped a mom with her latch. I helped her with increasing her milk supply. A few months later, when we had our next appointment, baby was totally off formula, had built her milk supply so where she was exclusively breastfeeding, and she was just so thankful, and I just love that moment.
That's awesome. Good for you. And good for that mom for breastfeeding. It's not easy, but I think if you stick with it and you do it, it's so much better for you and the baby.
Yes.
And much healthier. All right, so August is National Breastfeeding Month. What does that mean?
Yeah, so National Breastfeeding Month recognizes how human milk is the most optimal food source for babies, for human babies, and how it helps, how the benefits help support and build children's immunity, contribute greatly to their lifelong health outcomes, so protecting against, diabetes, obesity, cancers, even into adulthood.
And I know, doesn't it also help, with ear infections and allergies?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Some of that, too?
Yeah, it helps with ear infections. Most times, people don't know this, but say that there's a baby that has a little bit of sickness, or say mom gets the flu, breast milk is actually tailored exactly to what baby needs right then and there. And so within 2 hours of mom getting sick or baby getting sick, breast milk is already preparing antibodies for baby.
Pretty awesome. Pretty amazing. Yep. All right, so we know that World Breastfeeding Week is coming up in 2025. When is that? In August. And what's the theme this year?
Yeah, so World Breastfeeding Week 2025 is going to be within the first week of August, starting August 8th. And the theme this year is creating sustainable support systems, and shares the importance of breastfeeding to our environmental goals, and shares resources to help along the Warm Chain campaign.
Okay. And breastfeeding is so important. how is breastfeeding sustainable? Like, what would you describe that, and what are ways that we can help moms during this time that they're breastfeeding?
Yeah, so breastfeeding is a natural and renewable food source that is specifically tailored to each baby's individual needs. It helps our planet by not contributing to a lot of like artificial food supply chains and its production. A lot of times it's more sustainable because, as we encountered in 2020, there was a formula shortage. A lot of programs, especially WIC, were going through hard times during that time. Whereas for moms who are breastfeeding, they didn't have to worry about any of it.
Well, it saves you money.
Yeah, up to $1,500.
I mean, you look at people that are using formula, and you've got bottles and you've got nipples, and you have to clean them and sterilize them, and then you have to buy the formula, and then you've got to mix it in the water. I would just think breastfeeding is a whole lot easier and inexpensive and healthier.
Yes, definitely. I've definitely had moms come in and say that they get more sleep when they're breastfeeding just because they don't have to get up in the middle of the night to prepare a bottle of formula, to being able to breastfeed anywhere without having to worry about warming up a bottle or anything like that.
Yep. All right. So we just briefly mentioned Breastfeeding Week in 2025. How do you celebrate it? Does WIC do anything, or is it just talking to people about breastfeeding?
Yeah, so we usually go through and have breastfeeding benefits and breastfeeding how-to appointments. Now, these are reserved specifically for our clients who are WIC participants. However, we do talk about anticipatory guidance, about the benefits of breastfeeding, what to kind of expect for our pregnant moms when they want to breastfeed, and also provide support for our postpartum moms who are currently breastfeeding. Even if they are supplementing with some formula, we still offer those breastfeeding resources to them as well.
You guys do such a great job. Okay, and I know something that's come across in the last few years that I hadn't seen before was Indigenous Milk Medicine Week. Is that fairly new, or did I just miss that before?
So Indigenous Milk Medicine Week has actually been brought in by an Indigenous Milk Medicine Collective organization, and they've been active for the past 7 years. So this is the 7th annual year, and the theme for this year is Indigenous Milk Medicine being unapologetically Indigenous, having love, land back, and liberation.
And then, are you working with them this year? Or are you going to be doing anything like that with that?
Yes, they do have some conferences available for registration. And so they have the Indigenous Milk Medicine Collective website. And so they're going to be doing a lot of great seminars on breastfeeding, how to reclaim sovereignty for cultural practices in breastfeeding. I've taken a training with them specifically for an Indigenous lactation counseling program, and they had taught me so much about traditional knowledge and liberation to continue practices and the rights to continue the traditional ways of breastfeeding and nurturing.
Pretty cool. All right. So how does WIC support breastfeeding?
Yeah, so WIC supports breastfeeding through any type of way we can, really. So it can start in the first weeks of pregnancy after we have enrolled a client, to however long mom wants to breastfeed. I've helped clients to where their children are turning almost 5 years old, and I'm still helping them out when their children are 4 years and about 6 months and they're still breastfeeding. I still help all those moms because their children are still breastfeeding. We actually do, again, 2 mandatory appointments about breastfeeding and anticipatory guidance. After birth, we even provide latching support, breastfeeding support, and even help with breast pumps. We have manuals, electrics available for our WIC clients.
Wow, you guys do so much.
Yep.
I didn't know you did all of that. So how early if somebody's pregnant, just found out that they're pregnant, how early should they think about breastfeeding, or should they talk to you like as soon as they know they're expecting, or should they wait until delivery? I think that probably is a little too late. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, is that part of your birth plan, is like thinking about breastfeeding?
Yes. So we typically try to open the conversation within the first appointment. So if we can get our clients onto WIC during the first weeks of their pregnancy, we try to open up that conversation. How would you like to feed baby? What do you think about breastfeeding? What do you know about breastfeeding? Because we think that breastfeeding knowledge is something that is always so important during both pregnancy and postpartum, no matter how late it is. If they feel like they do want to breastfeed breastfeed, even if they barely decided it when baby was barely born. We want to help them achieve those goals and at least try. So ideally, as early as you can during your pregnancy. However, it's okay if you had a late start. You can always, reach out to us to get some help as well.
Okay, and in order to get help, you do need to be a WIC client, correct?
Yes. For WIC, specifically WIC services, we do need WIC eligibility and participation. Usually we can do that if we enroll clients through our online application or by calling us at our phone number.
Okay. What's your phone number?
Our phone number is going to be 1-800-470-5930, and you can definitely give us a call and we can help you with the enrollment process. Everyone's situation is pretty unique, especially with the income guidelines. We do typically look at adjunctive eligibility if you're a part of Access Insurance, food stamps, cash assistance like TANF, and so if you're a part of those programs, we'll help you out. Or if you need other income documentations or other documents, we'll definitely let you know as long as you give us a call and explain your situation.
So Kylee, I know we're almost out of time. If you can tell us, do you have in-person or virtual? What are the hours and what are the locations?
Yeah, so most of our appointments are still being done virtually or remotely. So we do phone calls most times. We also have in-person appointments at our 3 locations. Right now we're located at Native Health Mesa, located on Southern Avenue next to Extension Road. We are located on 16th Street and Highland, right next to PIMC. And we're also located at the Native Health NHW building on Dunlap and 22nd Avenue. Our hours, we're typically open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. On Thursdays, we have extended hours from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. The only exception would be our NHW location located on Dunlap and 22nd Avenue. We are only open on Tuesdays and Thursdays those days. So Tuesdays from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
And there is some walk-in availability as well.
Yes. On Tuesdays, we are available at NHW for walk-ins from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And then on Thursdays, we're available for walk-ins at Mesa from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay, and your phone number again?
Yes, we can give us a call at 1-800-470-5930.
Okay, one more quick question. What would be your top tip for breastfeeding? That's short.
I think the top tip for breastfeeding is just keep going. Frequency is what matters.
And drink a lot of water?
Drink a lot of water. Yes,
okay.
Keep hydrated.
Okay, all right. Kylee, thanks for coming on and talking about World Breastfeeding Week. And I can't wait to see what you do next. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming up on Native Talk Arizona, Elise Gornish will tell us about Girls on Outdoor Adventure for Leadership and Science. Support for KRDP 90.7 FM comes in part from Native Health, with 2 locations in Phoenix, 4041 North Central Avenue, Building C, near the corner of Central Avenue and Indian School Road, and at 8800 North 22nd Avenue. Native Health is also located in Mesa at 777 West Southern Avenue, near the corner of Southern Avenue and Extension Road. Native Health provides primary medical, dental, behavioral health, WIC, and wellness services for the urban Native American community. For more information, call 602-279-5262 or visit our webpage at nativehealthphoenix.org. Native Talk Arizona returns after this song. You are listening to Strong Woman by Ray Zaragoza.
Daughter of mine, I will follow to the night. Sister, I feel you in my heart. Hold on tight, be ready for a fight. Leading with love, we can go far. Never forget who you are. Strong woman, brave woman, steady, kind, wise
Welcome back to Native Talk Arizona, Native Health's Native American Cultural Affairs program, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm Susan Levy. And Girls on Outdoor Adventure for Leadership in Science, or GALS, is a free summer science program for high school girls to learn science hands-on while overnight camping and backpacking through the wilderness in southern Arizona. And on the phone to tell us more is Elise Gornish, and she's the GALS director. Elise, welcome to Native Talk Arizona.
Thanks. Thrilled to be here.
So before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey and like how you created GALS or came into GALS and all of that.
Sure. So I did not grow up thinking I was a scientist or could be part of science. I was actually a pretty bad student. The world of science just wasn't something I ever thought I would be a part of. When I got older and kind of got myself into science, I realized how many people are probably like me, that their only connection to science, particularly when they're younger, is kind of traditional classroom learning, which is great that we have science in classrooms, but there's this huge world of science and the way we can connect with the natural world and ecology and our place in it. And so what I wanted to do was kind of provide an opportunity for girls who might not connect too well with what's going on in the classroom to understand that science is accessible for everyone. It's really interesting. It tells you so much about the world around you, and to provide an opportunity for girls to kind of develop leadership skills and become more confident in themselves when they're out in the backcountry. And so I started GALS at the University of Arizona in 2018, and it's been going strong ever since. We did take 1 year off for COVID in 2020, and GALS has recently moved over to SARCEF, which I'm really, really excited about, and the program gets bigger and better every year.
Okay, so I know you just said SARCEF, so that's the Southern Arizona Research, Science, and Engineering Foundation, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How does that fit in with U of A? And I know you mentioned you're also cooperative extension. How does this all fit together?
Yeah, so I don't really know much about young people. I do a lot of my work in the field, and I work with adults, and so I needed help kind of connecting with youth to bring a youth program sort of to the forefront. So when I first started GALS, I connected with Girl Scouts of America, and they are amazing. They do a lot of great programming for high school students, and they were kind of teaching me how to connect with schools and how to deliver outdoor science programming effectively. And so SARCEF, what they do, they're a nonprofit. They've been around a long time, and their mission is basically to deliver science and engineering to students in southeastern Arizona. And they do that by hosting science fairs, and they connect with teachers and bring programming. They provide grants. So it just seemed like a really perfect fit to be able to help expand GALS to more schools, because for a long time it was literally just me kind of floundering around, and I would call up a school and I'm like, can I come and give a talk to your science class or to the school and tell them about GALS? And that was great, but it was really slow connecting with schools. And so SARCEF is really helping me to expand the opportunity of bringing GALS to a lot more students.
Well, I watched your video, and I thought it was really, really cool. So a couple questions. So I know that you've got a week-long trip, and I think it takes place in October, right?
Yes. So there's an October break for not all schools in southeastern Arizona, but for many schools. Yeah.
Okay, so that leads me to my first question. Do you have to live in southern Arizona, or can girls all over the state apply?
Girls from all over the state can apply. We've actually had some girls from northern Mexico come and join us as well, and so they're welcome. The only issue is that because I kind of do this on the side, I don't have funding to provide transportation for girls and their families to get down to Tucson for the beginning of the trip. So the trip is completely free, and we provide all transportation from the beginning of the trip kind of out to the Chiricahuas. But I feel kind of almost bad offering this program to, for example, girls maybe in Flagstaff, and then they and their families have to spend the gas money to drive on down. But it is open to any high school girls in Arizona.
What a great opportunity for somebody who's, thinking about, I'm in high school, I'm kind of interested in environment and ecology and, I don't know, biology. And what a great opportunity. So I guess the worst thing is, yes, you'd have to come up with some gas money to get down to Southern Arizona and then pick them up and bring them back. But what an opportunity to go for a week in the Chiricahuas. So
Totally. So this program, I mean, I totally agree with you. It is definitely for girls who are like, oh, I like the environment, I like being outside. But it's really also for girls who are like, science is not for me. Because for those girls, I think that they've experienced such a small facet of what science and ecology and environmental science is all about. This program is more to just say, like, here's a little slice of the natural world. Here's how some of this operates, maybe in a way you haven't thought about it, and how awesome is that?
Okay, so if you're one of those girls that are not, maybe science not for me, and you're talking about camping, does this mean kind of like glamping, or are you like in a sleeping bag on the ground?
Oh, no, girl. No, this is for real camping.
Oh.
So, like, this is sleeping bag. This is tent. This is a week with no cell service. So girls are allowed to bring their phones, but there is no cell service up where they're camping. And for a lot of students, they're like, oh, absolutely not. I cannot use my phone. And let me tell you something. Since 2018, I've had at least 15 girls go on the trip each year. And these are totally normal high school girls that before the trip were like, I cannot live without my cell phone. And every single one of them comes back and is like, that was so refreshing. That was so nice to not be tied to my cell phone for a week.
I agree on the cell phones and the screen time. Okay, but so no electricity and no bathrooms?
Well, so there is, I try to encourage girls to like really get into the camping and go to the bathroom outside, but there is a place where they can go to the bathroom inside. There actually is a place for a shower if they need. So they do camping outside in tents, but we have an indoor area with a generator if needed in case it rains or it's like super cold. So it's, I wouldn't say it's glamping, but it's not, you're not out in the complete wilderness. There's, there's some stuff, and yes, there's a flushing toilet.
Okay. All right. That would be the tipping point for me. So, all right. It sounds like a great trip. All right. So you said it's open to girls, any girl in Arizona. Do you have to be a certain age range?
We try to keep, we try to focus it on sophomores and juniors. So the less span of ages there are, we found that the better the girls can kind of connect.
Right.
But we have had freshmen and we have had seniors. Also, we try to get them kind of at least a year before senior year, so that we've had girls come in and want to have some kind of job, and then they go through our program and they're like, actually, I want to be a soil scientist. And so, which is awesome. And so being a junior or a sophomore, it actually gives you a little more time in school to then maybe take a class that might teach you more about that topic, or to have an experience outside of school that teaches you more about that topic before you have to be thrust right into college.
So, like, tell me an average day. So, one, thank goodness there's a bathroom and I can take a shower. But after that, and I have breakfast, like, are you going hiking? Are you doing soil testing?
Yeah.
I know you're looking for, like, animal poop and things like that. What do you do all day?
It's all of those things. So every day the girls get up and they do some kind of activity together to strengthen the relationship between the girls. So that might be a small hike, that might be a discussion, that might be making a plant press together and pressing some flowers. And then every day we have between 1 and 2 scientists from the outside, so from outside the group, come on in, and we have, and these are all women that come in. So we have soil scientists, we have restoration practitioners, we have pollinator experts, we have large mammal experts, we have folks from the Bureau of Land Management, Forest Service. They come in and they talk to the girls about what they do, and they run an activity with them. So with the soil scientists, they dig soil pits and they paint with soil. With the large mammal scientists, they actually set up cameras, and then they do camera trapping for mammals. With the pollinator expert, they do a walk and they learn all about pollinators. Throughout the week, we have a couple of artists come up and they do science and art activities. So they learn about how you can collect data from the environment through sounds, and they draw these soundscapes. They make bracelets, they make zines, they do all kinds of activities. So every day is a little different, but they're constantly doing things. But we do have a lot of time built in for naps, for just relaxing. The girls all cook together. And every day, everyone has a job, whether it's assisting with meals, taking pictures, doing orientation on the map to figure out where you're going to go. Because a big part of this program is enhancing confidence of girls. And so what I learned when I was starting all this is that if you ask a freshman girl in high school about science, she'll say, oh, I can do science. Science is cool. Science is for me. If you ask a senior girl in high school about science, she'll say, I'm not smart enough for science. Science is not for me. And so there's something that's happening during high school related to the confidence of girls about their ability to be in science, in the world of science. And this isn't necessarily in the university. This can be, working for BLM or working in a garden. But there's something that has to do with the confidence. We're breaking the confidence of girls, and somehow they're learning that they are not able to be in the world of science. And so a big part of this program is teaching the girls about all these cool things in the natural world, but another really important component is providing them opportunities to develop their confidence so that they can feel, if they want to, that science is a place for them and they can operate in that world. And so we don't necessarily pitch it that way. We're not like, okay, you are in charge of taking pictures of the group today because you're going to have a leadership experience, but providing these different opportunities, the girls kind of just start developing these confidence areas as they kind of work through their job for the day. And we also have lots of discussions, and the girls are empowered to kind of talk about whatever they like. These discussions can go really long and get really heated, and it's a small group, so we usually take about 15 or less girls, and then there's 4 leaders. So it's like a really intimate group. The girls get very, very friendly, they bond really quickly. And they also realize that it's like a super safe space so that they can have an opinion about something that they might not know that much about, where in school they might feel a little embarrassed about making a comment about something they don't know much about. In this space, everyone's like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Let's try to learn more about that. Or I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say. So it's also an opportunity for girls to relearn that they can have an opinion about something, or they can talk about something, even if it's not a space that they feel that they're an expert in.
What a great opportunity. So I want to back up and ask you a couple questions. One, food. Who cooks the food, and what kind of food do you have?
Yeah, well, actually, this is a great question. At the end of the program every year, I give a survey out to all of the girls, and every year they tell me how much they love the food. Okay. So actually, one of the leaders that comes out, one of the sort of older girls that comes out to make sure everything's safe and whatnot, they come from the University of Arizona. There's a program that the University of Arizona that runs that, I forget the name of the program. It's like Outfitters or something, but these are people who are trained to take student groups out into the backcountry for weeks at a time. So they know how to make like full meals on a fire. They know how to do wildlife first aid, all this stuff. And so the girls have a really good meal plan. They make tacos and burritos together. They make pizzas. They make burgers. We, of course, accommodate for all diets, but it's good food. I mean, it's fresh. There's a place to keep food that's fresh there. We both have a fire pit, and we have a propane stovetop. So they eat really, really well.
Okay, you signed me up because you had me at the flushable toilets and the shower. So I could sleep
Nice.
in a tent, but I would definitely go. All right. Then you also mentioned that you set up the cameras and you're tracking animals. What kind of animals do you see? So, like, is it bears or coyotes or javelina?
There's bears out there. There's black bears. There's deer. There are turkeys out there. Sometimes the Forest Service has horses out there. There's all kinds of stuff. The group always sees tons of birds, and usually one of the leaders that accompanies the group is either a plant or an animal expert, and so they will kind of ID everything. They have a bunch of ID books with them, and so the girls start learning not only about sort of science and ecology, but they start learning about the natural history of the world around them, so that when they go home, maybe they're walking down the street with their parents and they're like, oh, there's that, vermilion flycatcher, or oh, there's that plant or whatever. And so they can start identifying the things that they've seen and learned about on the camping trip back at home.
All right, Elise, so tell me, what have some of the projects that the girls have done? Do they focus on like animals or, clouds, geology?
Yeah, so it's actually pretty cool because the girls come in not really knowing anything about the site, and very typically the experiments focus on things that they've seen and things that they've noticed. So what I mean by that is they'll go hiking around where they're camping, and then they'll go for a hike at a higher elevation. And they will notice that there's trees of the same species in both areas growing in really different ways. So I've had girls look at leaf shapes of the same species depending on whether they're growing in the understory, so that's being shaded out by other trees, or if it's the overstory, so that's they are shading out other trees. I've had students look at the diversity or the number of species of water bugs you can find depending on how wide a river is. I've had species look at different kinds of spiders and different numbers of spiders depending on if they're inside or outside the bunkhouse. So yes, the flushing toilet is great, but there are some spiders inside. I've had students look at soil types, so they learn how to identify soils generally by their texture. And so they'll look at soil types depending on the types of plants that are growing there. I've had students look at who is flowering. So you might have a bunch of forbs. So those are those big flowering plants, but some of them are flowering and some of them aren't. So depending on elevation, the type of other plants that are around. So there's all kinds of amazing experiments that girls do, and it's based entirely on what they're interested in.
Is there like a wash up there, or not a river because I know you're up on the mountains, but is there water that they talk about also? So some of the water features and environmentally with that?
Yeah. So there are streams that run up near the site that they always go hiking in, and there's tons of water bugs, and there's actually fish up there. And so in the past, I've had some leaders go up who were studying fish, and they'll do seine netting, so they'll actually catch some of the fish and measure the size of the fish, and it's awesome. And so depending on sort of how deep the stream is and how fast the water is moving and if the area is shaded or not, that will really modify like how many fish or how big the fish you'll find there or the bugs. And the girls are always thrilled. They're like, what? There's fish in the desert? And it's like, yes, there's fish in the desert. It's pretty cool.
Pretty awesome. You sound so passionate. Were you always this interested in this?
No, I was not into science for a really long time, and it's like a really long story how I got into science, but I wasn't into it at all because I didn't know that the world of science that you learn about in the class is this like 0.0001% of what science is about. And so now I know that it's amazing to be able to go outside and be like, how is it that plants are able to live and not get water for 3 months? Or what are these animals doing at night that they can? I mean, there's just so many amazing things that happen. And I love when I see other people developing that interest. So there are girls that will be at the program and they're like, oh, someone's coming here to talk about soil. Like, I don't care about soil. And then the person will leave and they're like, oh, I'm going to be a soil scientist. They just get so into it because you learn about the amazing things that's going on like right outside, literally right outside. And I think one of the other great things is that a lot of the students that have come through the program have said things like, I didn't know you could do science sort of outside of the university. A lot of people think of, you do science, you're like wearing a lab coat and you have a beaker in your hand and you're this mad scientist in the university. And that's some of us. But there's tons of people who work for the federal government or the state government or private firms or nonprofits that do all kinds of things related to science. So it's really great that the girls see that there's people who study bats and they work for the Forest Service, or there's people who are obsessed with plants and they work for, a nonprofit, or there's people who are interested in hummingbirds and they work at a greenhouse or something like that. So there's all kinds of jobs you can think about and target your activities towards that engage with science in some way.
And I think that's a good point. I think that, the youth they might just think there's only one career opportunity in science, like you said.
Yep.
But yes, you can work for the government, you can work for a university, you can work for a greenhouse, you can work for a farm. There's so many things that you can do. And I think what you're doing is so critical in educating them. And I think it's great that sophomores and juniors, and then, you said a few seniors, so they have some idea to kind of think about their career path and things like that. So if you had one sentence to kind of say, what would the takeaway be for girls for science?
Science is for anyone, and you have a place in science if you want. You don't have to, but it's awesome over here. So it's a place for you if you want it. And if you think that's not true, I challenge you to join Gals and see what you think.
do you find, I know that you said somewhere between like freshman and senior year, they kind of feel like they don't have the self-confidence to go into science. Do you find that like anecdotally or post-survey, one, do they feel confident? Have they gone on to college? Do you find that they're going into STEM fields?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because I have both anecdotal as well as data. So first of all, when the group leaves for the trip, everyone's quiet and looking around and a little awkward and whatever. And when they come back, these girls are like braiding each other's hair and they've got 8 million inside jokes and they're all laughing really loudly and like screaming with each other. And it's like a different group. And so you can see the development of not just the friendships, but sort of the confidence that they have to just be themselves around this group of people, which is amazing. I do give a survey out to the group to all the individuals every year. 100% of the attendees of GALS would highly recommend the program to their peers. And I think that's a really important thing because, you know, I'll present about the program and people are like, I don't want to camp outside. Like, I can't be without my phone for a week. And I'm like, look, I'm 43. Okay, I understand I'm not of your age, and you know, maybe you don't want to listen to me about how amazing this program is, but listen to your peers. Listen to the girls that were just like you, that were just like from Tucson or some other town that might have never camped before, might have never taken a science class, doesn't care about science, and look at what they have to say about that program, that they love it. And we have seen that the girls that go through our program do end up in STEM programs. So we actually have 2 girls from the GALS program that are now at the U of A, and they're both taking science. They're both have a science degree, or they're getting a science degree, and both of them say that GALS is directly responsible for driving them in that direction, which is just amazing. I mean, it's amazing.
That's pretty awesome. So,
yeah.
You know, I was looking at the GALS stuff. And do you find, so you do this big trip in the fall in October, but then are you thinking about in the future, like maybe doing like monthly activities or quarterly activities where the girls can either get together or reinforcing the STEM fields and things like that?
That's a great question. So I used to do that after each trip. I would have 3 get-togethers in town that were also totally free, and so we would like go to the Tucson Botanical Gardens together and take a pollinator walk and then have lunch or do something like that. And that's awesome, but it's really hard to maintain momentum with the group. You know, these are high school girls. They've got a lot of things going on. And so it's been hard for me to maintain attendance at those things. So this year we're going to take a break from that, and we're going to see how it goes. I would love to develop the program more in the sense of having more permanent sort of post-trip events. I would love to run multiple GALS trips a year because we always have to say no to some people because we want to maintain the small number for sort of group dynamics. But this is kind of an aside to my job. This is not my job. This is a thing I do on the side, which I love, but I just don't have the capacity to kind of develop it in that way. So that's another reason why partnering with SARSEF has been so great. I think that this is our first year. This is the first year that GALS is going to be with SARSEF, and so we're all seeing how it goes. But they are definitely interested in considering kind of developing GALS in a way and maybe hiring on full-time staff to run GALS, which in that sense, once that happens, we can kind of add on all these components to the program that would serve more students or provide deeper programming for the students who are involved, things like that.
Sounds pretty amazing. Do you have a favorite success story?
This is a success story I tell all the time. So during the trip, the trip is, there's a lot of people that come in and out, teaching the girls what's going on, and each day is kind of a little different. But one of the things that happens in every single trip is that each girl is responsible for creating her own experiment, deploying the experiment, collecting the data during the trip. And then when they come back from the trip, they spend a day with me and I talk about science communication, and then each girl creates a science poster describing what's going on in her experiment. And then the next day when the parents come and pick up the girls have a science presentation where each girl talks about her experiment in front of her poster. And we do this for lots of reasons. One, we want to empower the girls to think about science and think about developing a question that they're interested in. And 2, we want to teach them that it's really important to communicate your science. and give them the opportunity to sort of feel proud about what they do. So every year on the last day when the parents come and pick up the kids, we have the whole group together. We have whole family. We invite lots of people from the community. And then we open up the floor to the community to ask questions about from our participants. And a couple of years ago, one of the fathers, he asked something. He was like, well, I see you guys learned a lot on this trip, but can you tell me the most important thing you learned? And one of the girls raised her hand. She was like, I learned that I'm capable of doing anything I set my mind to. And I was like, I mean, if I had any role in providing an opportunity where a young woman feels like that, I've won. And I think that sentiment is really common among our participants. These girls come in, most of them are really not sure that they chose the right way to spend their, fall break. Most of them have not camped before. Most of them are not interested in science, and they come back feeling like different people, and in a great way.
Pretty awesome. And like, what a great testimonial and to everything that you've done and how you've changed lives. So if you were able, like if you had $1 million, would you like replicate this in different parts of the state? Would you take more gals trips? What would you do?
That's a great question. So there are actually a couple of other gals programs in different states. One of them was actually just started kind of in partnership with Gals Arizona. We got a bunch of money from the USDA. Thank you, USDA, to bolster Gals Arizona. We just started one in Michigan, which is awesome. So it'd be great if I had the capacity to help other people in other states start more gals programs, but it would also be great if we could have maybe like a gals Northern Arizona. And so if I had, unlimited funds, I would have a full-time person working down here. I would help start a full-time person in Northern Arizona to also fund gals and to put aside the money. I mean, it's a really important component of the program that everything is absolutely free. There's free food, free transportation. We lend all of our participants all the camping gear they need. We give them a ton of stuff, and that's really important because this type of programming, outdoor science programming for girls, isn't that unique. There's programs all over, but for most of them, you have to pay a lot of money. And that's fine for the people who can afford that, but there should also be opportunities for people who might not have $10,000 for a week. And so having this be completely free is critical. And so having the money to not only pay someone to run it, but then to be able to support all aspects from buying the food to renting vans to paying for training of our leaders to renting a cell phone that can work out in the middle of nowhere and all this stuff, that's a critical component because money should not be a barrier for a high school girl to access a program like this.
Totally agree. And I think the more girls that you expose to these opportunities, the more that they know they can do it and go into STEM fields, STEM and STEAM. Question for you. So if you were able to do something in the winter, like I know it's cold, I assume it's cold in the Chiricahuas in the winter. Would you do it the same? Would you see different animals? Would you do different activities? Or you're pretty much stuck to the fall because of the weather?
Yeah, we're stuck to the fall both because of the weather. I mean, we're stuck to Chiricahuas because of the weather, because even the fall here in Tucson where I am, it's still unbelievably hot. Well, in the Chiricahuas, during the day, the girls can wear t-shirts, but at night it gets really cold. And every year I'm like, pack some warm stuff, and nobody listens to me. So I've started sending up a box of clothes I get from Walmart that's like sweatpants and sweatshirts, because nobody listens to me. But it does get cold, but and there's also running water up there, which is important. We bring in a lot of water, but the girls have access to the water, and we have, of course, like water cleaning pills and all that. But I don't want to send out a bunch of girls for their first time camping and it's like 110 degrees. But we're also stuck to the fall because that's when school has break. The other time would be during the summer, but there's nowhere in southern Arizona, not even on Mount Lemmon, that I would send anyone to go camping during the summer. And, it's really, the Chiricahuas are perfect because they're 2.5 hours from my house. And that's critical because it's very remote in the sense of you don't see anyone else unless they come in, and you have no cell service. And I think that's really important for developing the positive dynamics among the group up there. But God forbid something terrible happens, I can get out there really quick. So I would be less comfortable in the summer if we started from Tucson and then I sent the group up to, southern Utah, and then it would take me 9 hours to get somewhere if something happened. So it's like the perfect sort of distance and being away from, your life and your families, but still being close enough that, I can come out there and get someone if someone's having like a really, really hard time, for example.
Okay. Well, I think important, my takeaways, one would be, now you said running water, a shower, and a flushable toilet, and good food. And I could do the roughing in the tent for the rest of it. So and the no screen time. And I think just empowering the girls and knowing that they can do anything and exposing them to different opportunities and that they can do these things in careers and meeting other young women. And what a great opportunity. So, you should be commended for your hard work and dedication and caring and wanting to do this. So we're almost out of time, but I wanted to find out, I know that you said it's limited and you go in October, the weather's nice. I also agree when we do our camp, people never listen. We always say it's really cold, even though it's summertime, you're on top of a mountain and it's freezing.
Now it's just like, okay, here's the clothes.
And they don't believe you. But I wanted to find out, so how can listeners find more information about GALS and how can they contact you and what is the timeline?
Great. Yeah. So GALS is now part of SARSEF. So if anyone goes to sarsef.org, which is SARSEF.org, and you just go under the programs tab, there is a GALS Arizona box. You can click that. That gives you more information, and it also gives you a link to our application. The application is online. It's in both English and in Spanish. If someone wants to access the application and cannot do it online, they can send me an email, and I'm happy to send them a paper copy. People can also email me if they like for any questions. My email is egornish@arizona.edu. If you remember my name, Elise Gornish, and just Google that, there's only one Elise Gornish on earth, so my email will come up. Applications are open right now, and they're open until the beginning of September. We start letting people know around the beginning of September if they've been accepted. There's a bunch of paperwork their parents have to fill out. And it's really, really important. I know a lot of parents are like, I'm not letting my kids go for a week. I don't know you. So we do have a morning sort of info session for all the people who have been accepted. And the girls during that session, it's at the SARSEF office in Tucson. We have breakfast. We have all kinds of things to give out to the girls. The girls get to meet each other, and they get involved in some kind of getting to know you games. And I meet the parents or caregivers, and I go over all the safety features and all the background information so that the parents can learn how well we're going to take care of their kids. And, it's a big deal to let your kid go. For almost all of our participants, it's the first time that they're away from home for, more than one night. So it's a big deal that parents are trusting us with their kids. So we have tons of safety things set up that I can tell the parents about. They can meet me. Every day I call into the group and then I kind of feed back to the parents. So we have that all set up. But if people want to apply, they should go to sarsef.org and check out the programs tab for GALS, and they can submit their application. And hopefully you will get picked for GALS.
And I would say watch the video. I watched the video and I was pretty impressed. So.
Yeah. I just want to remind people, especially the students that are listening, if you've been listening to any of this and you're like, I don't want to do that. I can't do that. I promise you, every single student, and now we've had over 80 students go through this, they're just like you. And they were like, I don't want to be without my phone for a week. I don't want to sleep on the ground for a week. And 100% of them, every single person that has come back from the trip, said they would highly recommend the program to their peers. And most of them say it's the best thing they've ever done in their life so far. And it's fun. It's amazing. It's great.
And there's good food, and there's running water, and a shower, and a flushable toilet.
Yes. There's all this stuff. So you are camping, and you will be hiking and carrying stuff on your back, but it's not, come on, it's not the middle of nowhere.
Right. Well, Elise, thank you so much. I hope a lot of our listeners and their families take advantage of this and go ahead and apply to GALS and try to get their high school girls out there and learn more about the STEM field and get interested in science. So thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Native Talk Arizona, presented by Native Health and 90.7 FM KRDP. Our executive producer is Susan Levy. Sound engineer is Javier Quiroga. We hope you will tune in again next week. If you have any questions, please reach us at nativetalkaz@listen2 krdp.com.